Hello, friends, and welcome in. I am Empress Danny, your host for today. We are back with another episode of the Daily Grind. It is my intent to pour you up a hot cup of joe and get your day off to a bright and beautiful start. So let's check in. Today brings a severance, okay? I'm not sure if someone is being severed from their job or position. It does feel very high profile, so I do believe you can anticipate seeing this at the top or like in the news to some degree, which could mean like someone who is, top of the totem pole being released. Is what it feels like. And not only that, it's certainly the energy is trickling down. But I was picking up in meditation that someone has done something that it feels like unforgivable to a degree. And keep in mind, this can be a relationship or otherwise. What came up for me in meditation is rust. Okay. And for those of you who don't know, my professional background is in chemistry. And the way that rust forms is when you have iron, which obviously is a metal, and water is applied to the surface of iron, it oxidates. Some of the iron ions oxidate. Okay. And when that oxidation occurs, obviously because air is exposed, whenever you add oxygen to water, water also reduces the amount of oxygen, just because obviously it's a chemical compound, H2O, from the water. So we have two reactions happening at the same time. We have oxidation and we have reduction. And so what it does is it basically when the water oxidizes and the iron, obviously, the iron ions also oxidize, and when the water reduces the oxygen that the iron has oxidized, then you get the reaction, which is rust, where that iron becomes flaky, it becomes dry, it becomes dull. And usually when you see rust, they say that it eats. So rust continues because usually what happens is once that initial surface becomes flaky, it exposes fresh iron or the new iron to additional water, and the process takes place over and over again. So it just continues from there. So then you have what is called corrosion, right? Chemical reaction that is referred to as corrosion. So in relationships or in business or in life, when you have water, you're talking about what? This could be something that someone did, right? Creative. Oh, that was so creative of you to clock in and not actually be there, right? When you've done that enough, if you think that that is not oxidizing, right? If you think that that communication is not in some way leaking or getting out, that no one will find out, that ends up turning into what? When we're talking about oxygen, we're talking about something that is airborne, right? It's seen, it's heard, it's noticed, if you will. And so when it oxidizes, because there's still water there, the water reduces the oxygen. And a reduction, when it comes to just kind of a sense that is more practical, would be breaking it down to identify what's happening. So going from I heard and reducing it into I know. And that's where it comes to be flaky, right? And so we're talking about, again, it permeating the layers. It says, this is corroded, it's no good, you're flaky, you're not reliable, I can't trust you. Same in a relationship, right? Where again, whether it's heard it through the grapevine or whether it's heard it via spirit, the process of rust has taken place in some way, shape, or form, or in a situation. And now that it has sunken in or has gotten through, there is some sense of needing to sever or release the corrosion in order to prevent additional corrosion. Otherwise, it will corrupt the whole. So today you can anticipate there will be people getting fired, jobs being lost, relationships ending, ties being cut. What that also means is that for some of you, this is going to open up opportunities for you. This could certainly be freedom from the past, is what that indicates. If there is a severing or a cutting away of what is dead, it gives the opportunity for new life. There's also some significance with hair. Someone burnt a person's hair. And in burning that person's hair, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but there was that person whoever's hair was burnt did not know that someone had burnt their hair until after the fact. And when they found out, they were disgusted. So there is a severing as it pertains to that as well, which could be the actual hair, but feels like it's potentially deeper. That is more so like disconnection. And keep in mind, whenever you're in this energy, which is very much akin to Mars, the severing or the cutting away is one that is a demonstration of authority or leadership. It's not aggression. So if you see aggression today, if you see, and when we talk about severance, right, the way you sever will determine what is required in order to heal. And welcome in all of you. I appreciate you being here. Albert, Jacoby, Kimber, Isabel, hey girl, Brenda, Banna, Watkins, Lauren, incredible hair. Oh, we talking about hair. You might be getting. You might be having the shears out today, love. Might be cut. Oh, I can't lie. I felt that spiritually. So some of you, there could certainly be some cord cutting that's being done today, some ties being severed, some ends being clipped. This could be loose ends, getting rid of them. I do feel an energy connected to the past, where some of you may find that some aspect of your past is being released, is being broken off, if you will. And the cleaner the cut, then the process of restoration or healing, the time to bounce back is kind of like that, right? If we sever and we don't make a clean break, which usually has to do with doing it the right way, if we don't sever the right way, that's when it takes longer to heal. And sometimes we feel like that's one-sided, but the reality is that it's not. That is on both ends. So there's something about today where if you are perhaps a person doing the severing, make sure that you go about it in the right way, because it will hurt you. Meanwhile, if you go about it in the right way, then I feel this energy that is feeling much better in a very short span of time, if any time is required at all. So diving deep, hey, last 99, good to see you today. Diving deeper into this, there are some situations that take longer to resolve because we don't establish a clean break. So for those of you who are here, you're not here by accident. The top of the day is a great time for you to establish one thing, right? One thing that you need to sever today, whether it's a past relationship. I was picking that up for someone having a past relationship, whether it's with a person or if it's to a space of life, and whatever that relationship is, weighing on them, draining your energy. And what I heard specifically is strings attached. So it's because there is a connection or attachment, and that's why I feel like I grabbed these, because where there are strings attached, something makes me feel like you're cutting those strings today. Hello, my walk, my mouth, my shoes. Good to see you today. But it feels as though this is going to allow you, because a lot of times we feel like small things, little things. This can be like a person provides things for us, right? Maybe they affirm us in the way we need affirmed, and we liked, maybe it is the way that they make us, they make us feel when they talk to us the way we need to be talked to. These could also be small strings, can be where we have a connection to our past that is linked to abuse, and someone speaks to us with a foul mouth. They're disrespectful and disregarding of who we are. They violate our boundaries and our authority, but we're used to that, or we're accustomed to that, whether it maybe was older siblings, cousins, other people in one's life. And as someone, I don't know why I get the energy of the rut of the litter, doesn't have to be, but it's almost like someone was used to being talked down to, being what could be bullied, being talked about. I get the energy of like being called names, like being called what could be fat, or being shamed, or always being joned on in jest, something of that nature. And perhaps even tolerating that in your partnerships, looking at friends as being friends, but they don't have anything good or positive to say about you. And today you're cutting those loose ends, you're cutting those strings. Thank you for the follow, Chanel. I appreciate you. If anyone else is here who hasn't followed the channel, I ask that you do so now. Thank you, Koala. I appreciate your sharing the live. But I feel this very strong energy that is realizing that those are the attachments or connections that are holding you back. And I feel that very strongly. You are going to make some very direct connections or ties. Some of you, this is going to come up in the way of you are going to, when you connect with these energies that are remnants of the past, in lessons perhaps that you had to learn, when you connect with them, you are going to have what's almost like a flashback. And this could be of something that you said. It could be like a deja vu moment of something that transpired even when you were young. And it feels as though it's going to give you pause in that moment so that you can make a decision right then and there to cut the cord. I'm no longer giving life to that, to sever the tie. I'm no longer going to be connected with that. And what it is a demonstration that you're taking authority over those things. You're no longer bound to those. And usually those ties are connected to heartstrings. But pay attention, even if this is like watching shows on television and you could have see something on TV. I also just heard a game show that reminds you of something that was an experience. That could be a tie that you need to cut. It doesn't have to be a person or an interaction or an experience. This can just be something that brings back to your remembrance. Pay attention in those moments because you may feel it in a specific part of your body. Some people feel it in their head, some people feel it in their heart, some people feel it in the gut, namely in the solar plexus a lot of times. And with your self-esteem is where you hold that, and that's why it pulls on your vitality, because it's literally anchored or rooted. It's pulling on the strings of your soul, and by disconnecting that, you're going to find that you have more vitality, more energy. I get this energy of a brightness. There could be some significance around being bright, if you will, and it gives the energy of like light bulb or light bulb moments, where this could be like having illumination where you're able to see. There could definitely have been some things, circumstances, people, or again, ties, connections to the past that have been dimming or diminishing your light. The fact that you are illuminated, the fact that you are seen, the fact that you are heard, the fact that you matter, things of that nature. So let's dive in. Those are my channel messages. And I hope that to some regard or another, they've been beneficial for you. Some of you, you may have already been in a position where you're doing this. And even if that's the case, I encourage you, keep some of those things in your back pocket, because you may find that you connect with others today that may be in a position where there are some strings attached in their life, and you may be supporting their confidence to be able to release. Okay. There is an energy that is very official today, where something is being delivered. Some of you, this could be a package. Some of you, this could be like followed through on a plan. I do get the energy of what could even be planned. I do get the energy of what could even be for something being thrown in your lap. Hey, Truthful Tea, welcome in. I'm grateful to see you today. It could be something being thrown in your lap or on your desk, okay? Um, but it feels, again, when it comes to severance, if you've ever been severed from a job, or if you've ever severed anyone from a position, right? If you've ever ended a relationship, right? When you cut them off, or you cut that cord, or you cut things and you make it official. I'll tell you guys, I saw a video yesterday of a lady, and I loved her execution because she was standing in the kitchen with her husband, okay? And she's standing in the kitchen with her husband and she's eating something. I want to say she offered him some food too, but she had an envelope, a manila envelope full of papers in it. And she said, "Here, hon," she said, "read this." And he said, "You do all of that stuff. I'm not reading that." He said, "You, that's your job," basically, is what he told her. And when he handed her the envelope back, and she said, "No, you need to read this." And so she opened the envelope and she handed it to him, and he peeked inside, and it was divorce papers. And what she stated is that, "You've been online dating and we're getting a divorce." And he said, "No, we're not doing this." He started going nuts, right? He started going haywire, and she just remained non-emotional. He threw the papers at her. He got on the, and if you've seen it, it's crazy. He fell on the ground and started literally kicking and screaming, throwing a temper tantrum. And she said, "This is not okay." And he said, "No, we're not doing this." And she said, "Yes, we are." And she just basically held her stance. And he felt perhaps that the temper tantrum was going to change her reaction. She said the paperwork has already been filed. And what it does is it says, "What the strings of the past are no more." Um, it really drew a line in the sand, and her delivering the paperwork and putting it in his hands is what made that official. It made it real. And so for some, there could be divorce papers, obviously, that are being delivered. But it does feel like the energy of someone going on record, taking an official stance, drawing a line in the sand to some degree, and saying enough is enough. I'm not tolerating this anymore. I'm not doing this anymore. This is officially over. Not going this direction. And I do feel like gratitude, what feels like for spiritual vision, spiritual wisdom, for seeing something the way it is. And for those of you with whom it resonates, um, I've also been getting in my meditation some significance around an abortion. So obviously, that would be a very direct, speaking of a cord being cut, that is a literal one. So there could be someone who is taking steps, and again, obviously, officially ending the process of developing in order to give birth or give life to something, right? So business partnerships, anything. And this feels like, again, I'm no longer giving to this. I'm no longer serving this again. There's something of that nature. And I do get an energy of this being very thought out. And something feels as though, and you're going to notice this in the energy, where there are clean breaks. That's where things have been thought out. They have been worked through. That's where there has been effort. This says, "I've been consistent. I've been loyal. I've been faithful," right? "I've been true." This could be someone who's leaving their job because they realize they're committed to an employer that does not value them. We've gone through this period, and I do get an energy of being able to spell some things out. So what could be like being at a point where you say, you can lay out the laundry list of all the things it is that I've done. Whenever you guys have called me, I've come in. I'm always here whenever you need me, right? When somebody calls in sick, I end up showing up. I bend over backwards to do what you guys need. And when it comes to what could be the compensation or accommodating my needs, you haven't been willing to do that. So someone has thought long and hard, and looking at wherein the value add is in order to make this determination. Okay. So they have gratitude, and it feels like to see things as they are, to see someone as they are, perhaps, and be able to now make that decision, which feels like someone may be in a position where they're forgiving themselves and making the judgment or the call it is that they need to make. Look at this. The top of the day is love. Okay. I'm not surprised to see it. Thank you for the follow, Albert. I appreciate that. I want to be clear in that a lot of times, um, sorry guys, there we go. They changed some of the buttons around, so I had to look for it to switch it. With love, um, a lot of times, and some of you may see this reflected in the inverse, where you've been shut out, right? Where you were maybe cut out or cut off. And so today could be someone realizing that perhaps it was strings or connections to their past, even if again that was a past way of thinking, of feeling, of operating, of doing things. Because I was getting something about like someone playing games, a cruel joke that someone was playing, where it feels like this could even be like meanness, where someone perhaps has the habit of being mean, and on the other side of that, it lost them someone that they know or that they realize was legitimate in their lives. And if that is the case, then someone could be cutting ties or severing their connection. They could be requesting forgiveness, right? So someone could be asking for your forgiveness today. Forgive me because I didn't realize that you were legit. This could be like, I believe their word over yours, or I thought that this was the truth, and then I realized that wasn't true. Forgive me. And what feels like having compassion, seeing perhaps the heart of the matter, the situation, the circumstance. I get this energy of seeing the purity in something. Let's dive a little bit deeper. I like this because I do get like there's awareness now, perhaps where there was a lack of awareness. Um, there is sight where I feel like something was unseen. There is also what feels like awareness of where there was arrogance. Oh my God. Yeah, today is I feel a lot of air energy. Okay, so just so you know, I feel a lot of air, whether this is actual communication or whether what feels like observation finally sinking in or taking root. So it feels like someone's looking, they're listening, and based on what they're looking at, what they're listening to, they're almost like putting two and two together, and it makes clear something that is real or that is true. Um, Hmm. Let's get deeper, okay? Earth energy at the top of the day with love. So again, this could be where someone is collecting or compiling information. That could also do with contact. It feels as though someone is using their gift to be able to touch the heart of something, and this could be themselves, right? Using, let's see, my skills to be able to. This could be show my self love in any given circumstance, or it could be doing something that I feel is maybe necessary with another, right? If I need to forgive them and that's an act of love from me, then I'm forgiving them. If I need to cut them off and that's an act of love from me, then the top of the day begins with someone. Let me make contact with them. Let me make this official. And this could be preparation, but it feels like that then moves into midday, which is where the air energy comes in, okay? And if there is any arrogance, something makes me feel like, I don't know why I get this energy where midday, there will be this almost like where there's perceived vulnerability. And you think about it, right? The husband in that case, in that story that I told, he thought that the wife was going to be vulnerable, perhaps by virtue of his kicking and screaming. Perhaps it is, him saying, no, we're not doing this, right? Maybe those are tactics that worked before, so it feels like someone could be reverting to those tactics. But it's almost like the peacock has the eye. It already knows perhaps the areas or the ways, the things that are vulnerable. And this could indicate like the things that a person will use, what they will try to do. And this could be in their arrogance to get out of, to avoid, or to evade. It's also where spiritually you've been given what feels like a very unique perspective, which could be an abject perspective. And I feel as though if that's the case, when this perceived vulnerability presents, um, then you are not going to be arrogant. You're going to be confident in what feels like, show your feathers, if you will, show your colors, which I can't lie, for some, this is kind of like the energy of that if if my partner did something foul, then I'm cutting this off. And if I already know someone, perhaps someone else is official, I'm not I'm not going to be shy about confronting them, right? I'm going to be bold when it comes to, it could be like my new partner, it could be like my new job, because sometimes when there is what is maybe kind of like a break that is perhaps controversial, people feel like, I don't know if I should. This is someone who's saying that's not a vulnerability. This is me demonstrating a strength. And if I'm wise enough to make this choice, my arrogance would make me feel like I'm silly for making a good decision for me or for my children or for my life. Again, like that job was not a loss if it was only taking my vitality, but not giving vitality to me. And something feels as though someone's going to, I don't know why I get like midday has to do with someone having confidence in a situation or circumstance where perhaps some would for whatever reason maybe feel vulnerable, because this isn't something that someone should feel vulnerable. And we talked about this in A Course in Miracles. Vulnerability is not real. The hiding is a separation. The ego makes it seem like vulnerability is real, but something feels as though this is someone who is taking pride, and it could be an area where they feel vulnerable. It could where they have felt vulnerable, where they have felt sensitive, or where they felt defensive. But it feels as though whomever this is no longer dependent on external validation, and because of that, this is something that I feel is either being communicated or the appearance of something that someone's doing. It feels like it's a flex, it's a strength, and it's something that I feel, I don't know why it gives like reason to boast. Think about it like this. You know, a lot of times people who maybe know you from your past, right? A past time of life, a past situation, um, in comparison to people who just meet you today and don't have the history, don't know that story, don't know what it is that you went through. Sometimes you will do things or you will appear in such a way and you will feel like you are vulnerable because of the people from your past. Maybe it is who judge you. Maybe it's you who maybe makes the assumption perhaps of their judgments. But in this, the people who don't know you or don't know that about your past, when they see you, they see someone who is brave. They don't see that same vulnerability that perhaps you feel associated with people from your past. So some of you, this could even be cutting off perspective as it pertains to like certain qualities within you. I feel the anointing oil that flows from you. And some of you, this definitely has to do with your gifts, with your talents, with certain skills that you have. I hear Rihanna, I don't know how to talk to you. I don't know how to ask you if you're okay. So there could be something significant around like maybe it is knowing how to talk to someone, knowing how perhaps to comfort them, seeing if they're okay, if they need anything. And this could be something that you think about it, right? Some people feel sensitive about that. Like, I want to ask, but I don't want you to get mad. But that could be because they've dealt with people who have demonstrated anger on the other side of someone asking, right? Why are you asking me? Get out of my business. You know what I mean? You don't know why a person may have ties to that. So someone may not be asking. Similarly, this could be someone who is cutting those ties. So they may be asking, they may be having what feels like using their spiritual eye in some way and saying, I'm not going to allow my past or some experience to make me feel vulnerable. I'm just going to say it. I just heard because I see it. And so this could be someone who's overcoming fear midday, whether you are doing this for another person or whether someone is doing this for you. If someone sees something, it feels as though they're saying something. And I like this because it feels as though this is someone who has a conscious awareness or knowing, despite the fact that they may have been hesitant previously. That's where, and I feel the forgiveness is coming in. And whatever this is, it feels like is addressing or healing to some aspect of a vulnerability. And that's where, at the end of the day, the hawk comes in, more air energy. And when I see a hawk, this is having to do with clear vision despite the distance. So there could be some significance around distance where someone has the ability to see very clearly. And this can even indicate in circumstances that you're dealing with in life, right? It can be that this can be like space and time between you and another person. It can be like looking at, maybe it is career, maybe the position that you're in now in comparison to the position that you know you're supposed to be in. That can even be place in life, right? I'm at the bottom of the totem pole, but I know that I belong at the top, right? Some of you, you just know what it is that you were made for. Maybe I live in a 1-bedroom shack, but I know that I'm the right fit for the penthouse suite, right? Whatever that is, something feels as though today something is taking place where if you maybe felt some type of way in whatever area this is, then this is you, what feels like using that vision and going towards it. And that's wherein I feel the end of the day is the healing virtue coming in. I want to say it's the Clark sisters who said you got to see it before you see it, or you never will see it. And so something makes me feel like you had to be able to encapsulate this in your visual, which is not necessarily your two eyes, but you had to be able to, in what feels like some of you, it could even be like things like tongue scraping, removing fluoride from your toothpaste. It can be things that you do, the foods that you eat that nourish yourself, various forms of hygiene, whether speaking to the subtle body or speaking to the physical body, but various forms of hygiene release the, I just heard fragmentation, but the calcification around the pituitary gland, which we know is your body's sensor system. And what it does is it's able to pick up on, it's able to emit signals, which can be that you're sending off, or it could be we'll just say questions that you have for the universe. If you think about a two-way radio, this is you sending off a message, and that pituitary gland also is a sensor to be able to pick up when a message is received, whether it be via telepathy or other means. I feel like today you may be in a position where that becomes official, and if you've been sending out what could be like questions, I need answers, I need insight, I need direction, I need guidance. You may have once felt vulnerable with regard to, it could be the downloads that you're receiving, the information that you're receiving, the message that you're getting, not knowing if it's real, not knowing if it's true. And today could be bringing in something or someone perhaps that solidifies, seals in your mind, again, that this is two-way communication, even if it's not a person, if it's just the universe is saying, look, you're not just talking to me, right? I hear, yay, when you look at my, it seemed like I've been talking to God for so long, and when you look at my life, I guess he's talking back. So this could be a realization that in your life, by virtue of things taking place, by virtue of things transpiring, that God is literally answering you, that God is speaking to you, that God is talking back to you. I just heard that you are the universe and that the universe is you. And all you have to do is emit the signal of whatever it is that you're desiring of, whatever it is that you're needing, and it's going to revert back to you as you take care of what could be like your body as a temple, or it could also be, again, that spiritual and physical cleansing, whether it's the aura, whether it is, like I said, the subtle body or ka, or whether it is the physical body in some regard or manner. But this is you, what feels like disconnecting, hanging up the phone or hanging up the line on things and on people that are those strings that prevent you from being able to receive the resonance, if you will, that you are what feels like rightfully due. And I get this energy of like you pick up on things, you see things, or you know things. And I don't know if people in their arrogance, I also just heard hot displeasure, get mad about you seeing or knowing the things it is that you see. And it's almost like they want to cut you off. They want to cuss you out. I don't know why I'm picking up heavy on the energy of like, they're always hanging up on you. They just want to, again, it's almost like cut the cord, but it's to the truth, which I feel for some of you, if someone's in and out of your life, that's why they always come back, because truth is life. That's why Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh to the Father but by me. And so there's a realization that I won't be safe, I won't be protected unless if I cut myself off from the truth. I have to reconnect myself to the truth if I'm going to be saved to a degree. And so I feel like there's a realization of that, that I can say, I don't want to see this, I don't want to look at that, right? I don't want to talk to them. Again, hang up the phone, whatever it is. But if that is true, right, and it's giving whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, think on these things. And something makes me feel like that is what is maybe kind of like being seen. That's what's being revealed. That's what's being made known today. And what it's doing is bringing about healing. For some of you, this is going to bring about atonement. You're going to be in a position where you're able to be forgiven for what could be some things perhaps that are taking place in you in life. This can even be things that you've done, because we can't be so arrogant as to think that everybody else around us is, the ones that are fouling up, and that we don't ever do anything wrong. So this is where, if we've been arrogant, if we've been cocky, if we have, maybe gotten outside of ourselves, we're forgiving ourselves. Forgive me because I was having a vulnerable moment. I was sensitive. I maybe didn't know what to do. It's also where I feel like that's going to be the release. And for some of you, that's the cord that's being cut, that is allowing for maybe even others to be able to bring that same restorative healing to you. And I do feel a heavy energy where, for those of you, this is specific. Thank you guys who are here. I really appreciate you. And if you're not following the channel, I would ask that you give the channel a follow by tapping that plus sign for me. Also, for those of you who appreciate this content and desire more, all of the replays and additional content is available on Patreon. Just check that link in the bio. It'll get you there. So for those of you who have experienced ghosters, people who have just walked away from you, situations that remain unresolved, is giving very much unsolved mysteries, right? And for some of you, this could certainly be in death. I don't know what happened. I don't know how they died, right? It could be the relationship ended. I don't know why they cut me off, okay? It could also be like they just, it's almost like things just became sour. A lot of times we have trouble releasing those things because it didn't feel good to feel abandoned, to feel rejected, when you poured so much love into a person, place, or thing. And today is the day. The reality is that you may never get an answer to your question, especially if you're dealing with someone who's prideful and arrogant, and is not willing to accept their own, we'll just say, proclivities. And you would be a fool to continue in any expectation of receiving some sort of heartfelt sentiment or expression that is what it is expecting healing from someone who's very deeply wounded. If a person comes to me and say they broke my heart, but when I look at them, um, their arm is cut off and it's bleeding profusely. Their leg is cut off and it's bleeding profusely. I see they just came from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and their heart is ripped out and it's hanging on by a thread. Would I reasonably expect that this person is my healer? Oh my God, you're going to make it right? No, that's very unreasonable. It's unrealistic. It's not practical. That person doesn't have any healing virtue to give you. And so you are basically mirroring their delusion by expecting that. It's making you delusional. And so today you are going to sever the cord to delusion, your own delusion, and expecting that anything that someone in that state or that position would give you would make you healed or make you whole. Okay. And this is where you can't expect answers from someone who doesn't have them from themselves, because they've not been willing to address themselves, because they've not been willing to do the inner child work, because they've not been willing to clean up their aura, their life, their way. They've not been willing to go a better path, to make different choices or decisions. I just heard they're still on Bumble, so I don't know, maybe that resonates for someone. But it's almost like if that's the situation, whoever this is, they're still doing the same things that they were doing. They're still causing more detriment to themselves. They're still causing themselves more pain. They're still what feels like operating in familiars, which are things that you know all too well. And I feel like things that you discussed, it would just be a recurrent energy. And so you're releasing your expectation today, cutting those strings that somehow feel like that would bring healing to your heart, recognizing that that's not what heals the heart. I heal my own heart. And some of you, that's what you're realizing. No different than if it's your arm cut off, if it's your leg cut off, who's responsible to get you the help or the care it is that you need? You are. No one else. And so because of that, when you sever your connection to the expectation or need for someone else to heal those broken pieces within you, and take that responsibility upon yourself to address yourself in whatever way that is, then that's when that signal goes off that says, I want to heal. And what happens is spirit releases a message that responds to you by providing you things in life, be it a therapist, be it a doctor, be it whatever it is that you need, be it information. And you know it was God, because when you receive it, when you digest it, when you assimilate it, when you apply it, you cannot deny healing. You can't deny that you feel better. You can't deny that your vitality returns to you. You can't deny wholeness. Okay, so that's what comes by the end of the day, which feels like the energy of a sign of some sort that really gets your attention and really opens your eyes to see very clearly, oh my God. And I literally just heard, I'm no longer disconnected. And it's almost like realizing that God, it's almost like thinking that God left you, right? That God forsook you, thinking that God is not with you, thinking that you're alone, thinking that you're going to have to deal with something on your own. Something is taking place by the end of the day that's letting you know, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Okay. Lo, I am with you always, even until the ends of the earth, until your body corrupts, right? Until it corrodes, right? Until it goes, until you can't use no more Rust-Oleum on that face. It's like, oh no, maybe some significant with plastic surgery. I can't lie. It's Giving Death becomes one of my favorite movies. But until you can't, patch it up anymore, Spirit is letting you know, here I am, and what you need is coming. This is me showing you this, or I feel the energy of some sort of revelation taking place by the end of the day, that makes clear, makes known that I'm going to deliver on everything it is that I promised you. And because your signal is clear and you're getting the message now, this is me responding back to you in some way that makes that known. I just heard also makes that obvious to you. Okay. So prepare yourself for obvious answers, right? Like I said, if someone's being severed from it, you could be in a position where I just heard your new role. It could also give the energy of like a new robe. So this could certainly be new garments, garments. It could also be a new relationship, a new position or part that you're playing in life, whether your own life, someone else's life, or a situation, again, in a business. I feel the energy of upgrades, some things that you've been working on. Your work or your labor has not been in vain, and something is going to show you. I don't necessarily feel like everything just comes in today. I feel more so like it's almost like if you've ever been, right? When I was a kid, right? We used to love, not just a kid, right? Let me be honest, right? As an adult, right? Love going to Kings Island, right? Cedar Point, Six Flags, give me all the theme parks, right? Roller coaster freak, okay? So if you guys have been before, you know when you're en route, when you're on your way there, you begin to see the theme park, right? When you're still a few miles away, right? Because those roller coasters are big. And that's what this feels like for you, is that you still may have some distance between where you are and where you're going. But something makes me feel like the Holy Spirit is going to let you see it, to let you know, to make it real to you. I know I'm getting there. Okay, that's it for the Daily Grind messages. I'm going to go record the brief. I'm going to ask you guys to check out the content on the channel, right? Make sure that you like it, right? Get it in circulation, repost it if it resonates for you or someone that you know. Oh, thank you, Cheryl. I appreciate that. It's always nice to hear, right? Don't always get that back, but that means a lot. Um, but if you guys also, if you haven't subscribed to the Patreon, Patreon is growing. That is my goal. And my number is 50. Once we have 50 on Patreon, I'm going to begin doing more live content and more content that's placed directly there than I will be doing here through the lives. I'll still come here periodically and still post content here, but the bulk of the gist of it, the meat and potatoes, will be available on Patreon. So I hope that you will join us. I want to say we're about like 40, 41, 43. And if you've been with me from the beginning of Patreon, which has maybe been since May, I want to say, Patreon started with like 4 of us. So to have seen that consistent growth is so exciting to me and is a reward for efforts. But the replays will be available there. You can check out additional content there. I love you all, and I will be back to do extended messages, but I haven't decided exactly when. So stay tuned, and we'll talk again.